It has. Thank you very much. As I said, I'm Councillor Sam Forsyth and I'm chairing this hearing of Subcommittee C of the Licensing and Public Protection Committee of Birmingham City Council. Before we hear any representations, could I deal with some housekeeping matters first, please? Before we start, can I ask everybody just to mute your microphones for a moment so we can improve the sound quality if we need to do that? Thank you. Can I also ask that everybody, apart from the committee members, also turn off their cameras, please? This is to reduce the broadband width. So everybody apart from committee members, please, you can turn your cameras off. The committee members who should leave their cameras on, and only these people. Could I just ask the applicant if he could turn his camera off, please? Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Committee members will have their cameras switched on throughout the hearing. Could I ask everybody who is present today, please, to put your mobile phones and other devices on silent, and to please ensure that you're in some private and convenient place where there's no unnecessary noise or distractions, please. As you can hear, and I hope you can hear me clearly, I'm talking quite slowly and hopefully clearly so everybody can follow. It's very important, what are, I hope, obvious reasons that everybody attending this meeting and those making representations are able to hear me clearly. Any distractions brought to my attention could result in this meeting being suspended temporarily or to another date and time under the regulations for these types of meeting. Can I confirm that this is a public meeting and it is therefore being live streamed on the City Council's website in order that the general public can view it? It will be found on the Council's YouTube site. And can I remind everybody, please, that members of the public or press may take photographs and they may record proceedings except where there are confidential or exempt items. Could I ask if any member present has any declaration of interest that they wish to make? And can I remind members that they must declare all relevant pecuniary and non-pecuniary interests arising from any business to be discussed at that meeting. If such an interest is declared, any member must not speak or take place in that agenda item, and any such declaration will be recorded in the minutes. Thank you. I see there are no declarations to be made. In relation to this hearing, apologies were submitted on behalf of Councillors Wagg and Councillor Puna, and we have in their place as nominated substitute members Councillors Davis and Councillor Pritchard. Can I welcome you to this hearing, which is in respect of an application for the Lee Hall Local, which is at 149 Lee Hall Road, Garrett's Green in Birmingham, B33 8GL-S. As you know, I'm Councillor Sam Forsyth and I chair this meeting. I've just introduced the other people here, the other councillors. It's Councillor Phil Davis and Councillor Julian Pritchard. Together with us are officers present in the meeting. I'm just going to ask them to introduce themselves. First of all, the licensing officer, Mr. Narinder.
Good afternoon, Chair.
Good afternoon. Secondly, the committee manager, Ms. Townsend.
Good afternoon, Chair.
Thank you. And thirdly, the committee lawyer, Ms. Swampali. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Oh, good afternoon.
Thank you. In addition, could I ask the applicant to identify himself, please? If you could put your camera back on and your microphone, please. If you'd just like to unmute yourself for a moment. Could I just ask you to unmute yourself, please, sir? Thank
That was
you.
okay, I think. Good afternoon.
No worries. Thank you. Good afternoon to you. And in addition, could I ask, we have a Mr. Garcia here as well who wishes to make representations. Mr. Garcia, could I ask you to identify yourself, please?
Hello, Chair. This is Mr. Garcia.
Thank you very much indeed. Could I ask both of you if you'd just like to turn your cameras off for the moment? Thank you. Could I ask if anybody who's going to make representations wishes to withdraw their representations at this stage of the hearing? No, thank you. I will assume that all parties have read and understood the Licensing Committee's procedural rules that were sent out with the notice of today's hearing. Please note that given the nature of today's proceedings, I may at my I can see a hand being raised.
Chair, I just wanted to make sure I'm the agent representing the applicant and I'll be speaking. So I just want to make sure that
You are very welcome. Thank you.
You remember me.
Thank you very much. You are very welcome. Thank you. Just to continue with some of the housekeeping, I have to remind you that I can, at my discretion, amend those procedural rules to reflect the fact this meeting is taking place online. The fact it's taking place online does not diminish the nature or importance of this particular hearing. I will reassure all of you that any such amendments will not impact on any party's right to a fair hearing. To assist everybody, we will be using the chat function in Microsoft's Teams. But I ask you all just to familiarise yourself with the chat function. You should find it at the top of your screen. It is this speech bubble at the top, which is generally located between people and reactions. Could I ask everybody present, please, just to type in their name on that chat function so we know everybody has it, please.
Okay.
Thank you. I think we have everybody on the chat. Could I indicate that we will be keeping the chat open for the duration of this hearing? And could I ask everybody present to use that, please, when they would like to indicate either a question or something that they wish to say? Could I ask if anybody has any preliminary points at this stage that they wish to raise? No, thank you very much. Can I now outline briefly the procedure that will be following at this hearing today? First of all, the licensing officer, Mr. Narinder, will present the report. We will then ask the applicant or his agent to present their case. We are asking everybody if they could keep their submissions, their representations to approximately 20 minutes or so, please. Could I remind everybody to speak slowly and clearly, if at all possible? The reason for that is the officers have to make notes by hand, and also the meeting is being live streamed, as you know. If at any time it's somebody else's turn to speak, please mute your microphone and use the chat function. Members of the committee are able to ask questions at any stage, but we will try to do that at the conclusion of everybody's representations, their submissions. Cross-examination by the applicant and those making representations will not be permitted unless members consider it appropriate, and members know if they wish to ask a question they can indicate in the chat function, please. Can I remind everybody, please, that whilst the technology is a wonderful thing, we all know that occasionally there are problems with it. Hopefully we will have no issues, but if you are having any issues or you cannot hear at any stage, could you please alert us and let us know as soon as possible, please? Thank you. Can I also indicate that it may be necessary for this subcommittee to take legal advice? At my discretion, I will ask all parties to wait in the meeting while members and the relevant officers withdraw to take legal advice using a separate meeting function within Microsoft Teams, and we will then come back to the meeting. If at any time we go into private session, the meeting manager will pause the live stream. Once that part of the private meeting is over, we will then resume the live stream so the general public can have an opportunity to consider what is being said. Thank you. Could I ask now at this stage, please, that the licensing officer, Mr. Narinder, present the report, please?
Chair. The applicant applied on the 26th of May 2022 for the grant of a premises licence for Lee Hall Local 149 Lee Hall Road, Garrett's Green, Birmingham B33 8JS. The purpose of the report is to consider representations that have been made in respect of an application for a premises licence which initially sought to permit the sale of alcohol for consumption off the premises to operate from 6 AM until 12 midnight Monday to Sunday. After discussions with West Midlands Police, the applicant has agreed to amend the scope of the application with the sale of alcohol to operate from 7 AM until 11 PM Monday to Saturday and 8 AM until 11 PM Sunday. The premises is to remain open to the public from 7 AM until 11 PM Monday to Saturday and 8 AM until 11 PM Sunday. When carrying out its licensing functions, a licensing authority must have regard to Birmingham City Council's Statement of Licensing Policy and the guidance issued by the Secretary of State under Section 182 of the Licensing Act 2003. The licensing authority's functions under the Licensing Act are to promote the licensing objectives. The options available to the subcommittee today are to grant the licence in accordance with the application, to reject the application, to grant the licence subject to conditions modified to such an extent as considered appropriate, exclude from the licence any other licensable activities to which the application relates, or to refuse to specify a person in the licence as the premises supervisor. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Could I now ask the applicant or his representative, his agent, to make his submissions, his presentation now, please?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So we heard about this application. Just to give a brief background to this, Chair, the applicant lives locally in Birmingham for more years, more than 3-4 years now. He's been working in Co-op, and now he and his family has taken over these premises. This is going to be their, business. At the same time, they will be living upstairs as well on the flats. Chair, applicant himself, he knows this area well, and he's been running the last few months the premises already. Chair, I think we put this application to sell alcohol and opening time between 6 a.m. to midnight. And then we thought, there's no reason that, why we cannot have a license between opening hours and the midnight. And the police have raised concerns about that. We did talk to them. So we come to an agreement, to open the terminal hours as 11, not beyond 11 p.m. At the same time, adjustment on the opening hours as well. Although the shop is going to be open 6 a.m., they also sell newspapers and all the other stuff, Chair. Chair, now, the application is made, the applicant have a very good experience working in licensed premises, at least in the last more than 15, 20 years. And also, Chair, when we put this application, we looked at, what could be the operating schedule in terms of promoting the licensing objectives, which is prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, protection of children from harm, and prevention of public nuisance. And then we put forward some conditions as part of the application. Chair, I think is the police looked at that. Obviously, they're happy with that, considering the location of the premises, which is residential area. There is no antisocial behavior. There's nothing's been evidenced. And then, like what happened, Chair, obviously the applicant has taken over this new premises. It's been existed for a very, very long time. This shop is not new, it's been there as a kind of community shop for a long time. Chair, since he taken over that premises, I'm sure, he cleaned that in the front area was so messy, it becomes like so. From his experience as well, he done that, so right now he has cleaning schedule. Obviously, he's going to live there, the place has so much improved since the applicant has taken over. Chair, and Chair, you will notice that there are no real public objections here, except, I'm not dismissing the objections we have, Chair. So, Chair, I know 3 objections. One of them is from Mr. Kasha, from the next door. So the concerns raised by him, opening until midnight. So now that, we have reduced the hours. And the other concerns he raised about, antisocial behavior. He's been managing it, but I promise you, Chair, here we are today. You heard about the applicant experience, and he's going to be living there as well. It's not something that the applicant wish is happening, antisocial behavior, so he will do everything that to prevent or stop any antisocial behavior in that area. But also we have adequate conditions to prevent any antisocial behavior or to stop any antisocial behavior in that area. Also, there has nothing been evidenced, Chair, but obviously here we are looking at promoting the licensing objectives. So in that sense, we have strong conditions to support that, Chair. So that's what I can say from the objections from the next door business, which is also an off license. Mr. Kasha is here running that. And the second objection there, so Colleen Wecklam, Chair, you will notice, I think he misunderstood, or maybe he representing about the 24-hour license. So obviously that's not seems to be relevant here right now, because his objection is all about a 24-hour license. And then he mentioned about petitions. In the public petition, Chair, you can see that also created by the next door neighbors, because I can see the surname is the same, I hope. Chair, it's I don't know how much value you're going to give it to that, but up to you got the committee. But on the other hand, Chair, what I would invite you to do that, but when you go for those kind of public, anybody can be invited to do comments, signed without any real reason to it, but we don't know who people signing it. whether they live in the area. There are a few comments made. Seems like they've been living in the local area, probably 4, 5. But otherwise, we don't know. It could be someone from Dudley area or from London. Go and sign it. Actually, I went in as well. I could sign it off. So I don't know how much weight you will be giving to that, but I'm going to leave it to the committee to decide. But right now here, we are looking at the full licensing objectives here, Chair, and that the business and the management structure, the applicant experience. And since this premises has been situated, operated very long time, I know the next door neighbor may concern about his business, but I think right now what we are here about, he as a business, making sure he is able to provide all the product services that the customers that visiting his shop. That's important for him to service them, and alcohol is part of the product. It's not the whole product. So that's why we would like to invite the committee and everyone else to look at this application very positively and grant, has been amended, supposed to has been applied. Thank you, Chair. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Is there anything else either you on the applicant's behalf or the applicant himself would like to say in support of this application at this stage?
Mr. Pakira, then, would you like to say anything about this application, or you don't want to say anything?
No, I don't want to say anything because everybody knows. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, exactly.
Could I ask at this stage if there are any questions from members at this stage? I can see Councillor Davis.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just on a matter of fact, how long has the applicant been running the current establishment?
Mr. Pakita, then maybe I know, but maybe you can answer that question. How long have you been running this particular premises right now? I think it's about at least 3-4 months now, Chair, I think.
No, nearly 1.5 months.
Oh, 1.5 months, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was it operating before you took over?
Before I took over, somebody else run the business, but I don't know who. But it's architect probably. Yeah.
Okay, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. And I can see Councillor Pritchard has a question as well.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, it was just to get a bit more context about the local area, because obviously I don't know the area myself. Are these the only two kind of commercial premises or shop premises in that immediate vicinity, or are there other shops, and do any of them have any licensing conditions or applications that you're aware of, or are you two the only shops in question?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor, for asking that questions. And yes, I mean, this particular premises is, although it's situated in a residential area, is a local shop for the local residents, but is situated in like little small parade of shop. I think not many. I wouldn't call it a parade. Probably about 3 or 4 shop. I think one of them is, it's about another retail convenience store similar to this one.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? No, thank you. Could I ask, please, Mr. Garcher, if you would like to make your representations, please, if you could unmute yourself and put your camera on, please.
Hello. I might be a bit nervous because I've never done nothing like this before. So if you bear with me, I'll try and be as quick as possible and make my points, come across with my points. First of all, I'd like to say we've lived here for 30 years. My wife owns the off license next door. It's not directly next door because we own the house in between the two shops. So we live in between the both shops. We've been here, 30 years, we've run the shop. We've run it quite fine and everything. Our concerns is not about competition. We're not worried about competition because we've been here that long. We know the community, we know the people. We got the support from the community. That is not concerns. They've fixed one point. The main thing was antisocial behaviour. That was in the night time, 7 o'clock. 10 o'clock. 12 o'clock. They reduced it to 11, which that was a good thing. That's a brilliant thing they've done. The other thing is more about the extended hours. The extended hours is from 7 o'clock. It was supposed to be 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock, which was way too long. We currently open at 11 o'clock, and we think that's suited for this area. We're not a convenience store. We're an off license. That's what we are, and that's what we cater for people around here. To open earlier, 7 o'clock, serving people is, for our area, it's the wrong thing to do. It might be right for different areas. It might be another place. There might be 4 or 5 shops. Like you got the Glebe, you got the Village. We've got all these areas, and we've seen what happens down there. The antisocial behaviour, the drinking first thing in the morning. There is now a lot of vulnerable people, and the only people that are going to suffer is the children. If it's not the antisocial behaviour, it's the children in the morning. They'll be going to get a loaf of bread, and they'll be probably buying a drink with it, which is not what we want. First thing in the morning, 7 o'clock. We haven't got no objection to them having the licence. 7 o'clock is way too early. It's not. It's absolutely not needed, and the community feels the same way. Yeah, we did a petition. We had an online petition. My daughter started up, and we got a signature petition which we had signed in the shop, which we got signatures of, and they're all off local people. Them ones are the one online. Yeah, anyone could have joined that and signed it, which is fine. But the one in the shop, 90% of them are local residents. They're all on the street. Some of them, they can't go online. They don't know how to go online, or they don't know. They wouldn't do that, but they signed it. So we got over 300 signatures here, just in our area. All they're saying is there's no need for it. We don't need it. We don't need. I mean, we're with our off license. We're always looking to move forward. My wife's always looking forward. She said we're moving forward like we're we could have extended the times anytime we wanted to, and there is trade, and the trade is there for the vulnerable people. And they even say to us, they come to us and they say, you know what, you're so lucky you don't open early because we'd have been here early. So you extend that time from 7 o'clock. A person who is vulnerable, and there's a lot of vulnerable because there's a lot of HMOs around by us now. There's probably about 5, 6, and these are people that they're like ex-alcoholics, drugs, gambling, even things like that, and they're trying to get off it. But what we're doing is extending the time for them. We've got a 24-hour license up the road. These people won't go there. Sometimes they don't have the money or whatever, or it's too far. I mean, within 5 minutes, there's no other shop. They will wait, or they'll you know what, they have no choice but to wait until the shop opens. You ain't going to stop and drink. If they want to drink, they're going to drink. They're supposed to be trying to get off the drink, but all we do is we try and limit what we can do to try and help them. So we don't, by extending the time in our area, there's 2 shops here. There's theirs and there's ours. What they should be concentrating on, they should give the community, and this is what the community is saying. They're saying we want a really good shop. Why would you have to walk all up to Asda to do your full shop? You should be able to do it next door. If they got space, they want to see loads of sweets, which is what is there now. They don't want to see loads of pops, loads of energy drinks. This is what they need to be able to do a full shop and be able to get your fruit, your vegetables, your chilled stuff, and be able to cook a proper meal. That's what they should be able to do. But no, instead they have to walk to Asda and do all that. So if they could provide that, first of all, on a good basis, they should be focusing on something like that before they put another license in. There's not, if they open at 7 o'clock, okay, yeah, we'd have to open at 7 o'clock. And that isn't what we feel as if we'll be going backwards. We're trying to look at different things. We're looking at the strong beers. They're not underpriced. They're not £2. You don't get cheap ones. We're trying to fade them out. We're looking at 4 packs and trying to get rid of single thingies, single cans. Although it's very hard to do. When you've been here 30 years, it's a very, very hard thing to do. You've got customers here who have lived here as long as us. So how do you take that out? You have to phase it in slowly. As we put new products in, you're not breaking them up. You're selling them. We're selling them as 4 packs. So these kind of things, we want to know how they're going to implement these into our community, and it's our community. I'm coming to you as a resident. I live in between the 2 houses, so my front room was supposed to be made into a room for my mum, who's 82. That's my biggest concern. The shop and the competition, I don't think it's a worry for us. We can manage with that. We can call that. They say competition is very good for business, so that isn't our concern. This room should have been for my mum. Now we're going to get more and more traffic first thing in the morning, and I have to backtrack from that. She can't make it up the stairs now. We were turning this room into a bedroom for her. Now we've held our plans back, just for the reason, just for that reason, because we thought they're going to start serving alcohol first thing in the morning. And there is people that will come that time. They will come. We've seen it in the Glebe. We've seen it in the village. They're open till 1 o'clock at night, which okay, they're closing at 11. That's fine. But people go there 7 o'clock and 6 o'clock in the morning. They open 6 o'clock in the morning, and we don't want that traffic. We want the school kids and the parents to be able to come there and feel, yeah, we can get our groceries for the children and the kids and everything. We want them to feel safe instead of someone coming out there buying a can first thing in the morning. They should be providing everything them school children need, and that's what they need. We feel that we do. We feel we do what we can to limit to limit what goes on around here. You mean we open at 12 o'clock on Sundays, we close at 10 o'clock. We limit it. So because we know once we put our shutter down, the lights go off, everything's nice and quiet and everyone goes away. There's no reason for anyone to be out in the streets, no coming out. Don't stop it, but it limits it and it calms it down. The vulnerable people, they need help from us and yourselves, because it's down to yourselves to see, it's the licensing committee. It's up to the licensing committee to see whether this community needs that. They don't need it. This community don't need it. We've been here 30 years. We lived here for 30 years. At any time, we could have moved out. Now, as you go on in life, you come here first thinking, yeah, we're having a business, we want to make money. As you get on with life, you start helping the children, the kids. You see them grow. You watch them. You help, and you think, you know what? I put a bit of input into that, and I've helped you. Yeah, we do sell alcohol. Don't get us wrong. We came here selling alcohol. This is our business. We came here. We done that from the start. We ain't got a problem putting groceries in. We can groceries. There's more profit in groceries. We can put that in, and we will be ahead of them anyway. And the other, we don't want our community. We're trying to keep our community safe and trying to keep it. We want to keep our community the way it is. It's not the best. It's not the best. We know we know we got a rough area, but at least we keep it to a limit. We try and limit it to a certain amount, and that's how we feel we contribute to the community. So that's what we're doing. If you add another off license to the mix, it's not a problem. But the extended hours is a problem. 7 o'clock in the morning. What need is there for alcohol before. All right, that you can't really have a time limit on it, but 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Who's the person that's going to be drinking that drink first thing in the morning? And what drinks are they going to be drinking? You know what I mean? It's not going to be a bottle of wine. Definitely not. So it's what we can do to try and stop that, avoid that happening. That's what we're focusing on. You know what I mean? And not only that, this is our resident. We live here on this property in between, and we want to limit. We do want to limit the drinking. We do want to limit it in this area. You know what I mean? We don't want to feel that we have to move out because okay, there's more drinking going on and everything. Drinking is what we do. We do serve it, but we try and do it in a responsible manner, so we can fight it. And the last point I just want to make is we don't think the applicant is responsible enough to be serving alcohol. And I'll tell you for why. Because on a couple of occasions, it has been going on for a while, but not now. On a couple of occasions, one young girl, one of my staff that works there, her cousin came in and went next door and bought a vape, and she's 15. Now, she didn't buy it from us because she knew we weren't going to serve her. I've got the date and the time. I didn't think it was relevant at the moment because we just ignored it because we says, okay, fine. But now I thought, you know what, I have to raise it up. The other thing is, Sunday, 10th of July, 5 p.m, I take over the shop now. The girl goes, she works till 5 o'clock, 12 to 5, and I take up at 5 o'clock. Now, young lads come out from next door with a scratch card, scratching it. And there's no adult with them, so the adult couldn't have bought it for them. And now I've got this on my footage. And obviously the applicant knows that when you got a license, you have to produce video evidence. You can't say my video is not recording, because at the moment they can say, oh, it's not working, it's not recording, but I've got it on my camera. So on that basis, I don't think they're responsible enough to do it.
Thank you, Mr. Garcher. Thank you. Just pause for a moment, just take your time. Is there anything further you'd like to add? Anything you haven't said already? Anything further you would like to add?
No, I think that's it. I'd just like to say, I think if by handing out this license, I think it's a totally wrong thing to do for our community. I can't say we don't need it because I run the off license next door. You know what I mean? There is need for drink here. But there's no need for drink at 7 o'clock in the morning. If you are going to give the license, restrict them. I don't know how you do it, but it should be restricted till about 10 o'clock. 11 o'clock's fine. It's another half an hour over the first. 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. It shouldn't be allowed. Not for our community. I'm not saying it's not suited everywhere else. Not our community, it's not suited. That's all I'd like to say. And thank you for listening to me.
Thank you very much. I'm just going to ask the members present if they have any questions for you. I can see Councillor Pritchard would like to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Can I just clarify the opening times of yourselves, and particularly when you're selling alcohol? So you mentioned, I think it was 11 or half 11 in the morning, and I just want to check which of those it was, and
our licensing time,
when you finish. So what time you finish in the evening? Just to, so I'm clear in my mind when your licensing hours are.
Our licensing times on our license is 8 till 11.
Okay, but
well,
what are your actual opening times?
We open 11 o'clock till 10:30, but because of the situation now, we've started opening a little bit earlier at 10:30, which we didn't really want to do, but we had to. So we're opening 10:30 till 10:30. Sundays we open 12 o'clock to 10 o'clock.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Davies?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Mr. Garcher, people might say that your objection is motivated by the fact this would be a competitor. What do you say to that? You know, competitors to your business. What do you say to that?
Already said from the start, it's not a problem. Competition is not a problem for us. We've been here longer. We've probably won over more of the community than they have. They're going to have to work a lot harder than us to try and we only have to put the same stuff in as them. There's more profit in groceries now than there is in alcohol, so it's a win-win for us. The competition has come into it. It's a serving alcohol early in the morning. The late night, it was a worry at late night, but 12 o'clock was too late. They knocked down the head, which was good. And then you got the problem with 7 o'clock in the morning, 7, 8, 9. It's mothers and parents, and then you got the vulnerable people. They come to me and they say to me, they go, if I open 15 minutes later, they go, I've been waiting since 8 o'clock. If you was open at 8 o'clock, I'd have been 8 o'clock and you're 15 minutes late. So that's you know what, they'd be smashed by 1 o'clock.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you, Chair.
These people are relying on us to help them. And yeah, we do. And they do say to me, some of them do say to me, or my wife, they'll go, you know what, I'm so glad you're not open.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Could I just ask you this? Could you help the committee, please? You've given us a flavour of the local area and you mentioned there was a school nearby. What type of school is that? Is that a primary, junior, secondary school?
It's a primary school.
And how far away from the small parade of shops, the number of shops is that? How far away is it?
It's about 2 roads away.
Thank you. And in terms of residential area, apart from the shops, is this mainly a residential area where people live?
Residential area, yeah, definitely. There's no other. There's no hairdressers here. There's nothing else here. There's within about 5-10 minute walk. There's nothing else except for the garage at the top of the road, which has got the McDonald's and a 24-hour license. That's about 5-6 minute walk up the road.
Thank you. I'm now going to turn to the applicant and his representative and invite them if they would like to make any closing submissions to us, please.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I mean, what I would like to add, you know, I've been listening to Mr. Garcher. Is, you know, I'm totally confused. Is he here as a residence or as a business? First he said as a residence and then he said as a business, talking about how he operate the business, and he said he's a wife business. And then he's doing lots of pre-admin, you know, vulnerable people and all kind of things, how he run the business and that kind of stuff. I'm totally confused, you know, what he is talking about, really. But on the other hand, Chair, you know, what we are here today, you know, see, there is no evidence. There is nothing to suggest, you know, why this applicant can't have, you know, can make all the available product during the opening hours, you know, unless there's an exceptional reason to it. You know, there is no such evidence, and none of the responsible authorities are here today, whether, you know, from the environmental health or like a child protection agency or people, you know, representing those vulnerable people, you know, none of them here, except, you know, the applicant, you know, the next door business person here to say whatever he wants to say about everything. And obviously, you know, he himself admitted that he got license up to 8-11 all days, you know. So he already have a license to sell at 8 o'clock, you know, and why we can't have, you know, 7 a.m. Chair, I think I think 7 a.m. is something that we agreed with the police, talking about all the concerns. I think amending, what we did, really being proactive to amend the application between 7 a.m. to 11 and then 8 a.m. to 11 on Sundays, that I think actually we are very proactive on that. And, this is the local shop, I mean, it is common, it is general for local people to expect the convenience to open between that times, able to buy all the product, at the times. And that's what we wanted to say. And thank you, Chair, for the opportunity to some.
Before,
if you could just pause a moment, please. Your client, the applicant, has his hand raised. Would you just like to take the opportunity to have a quiet word with him in private to see if there's anything else he would like you to say on his behalf? If you like to mute yourself and your camera, and the applicant too, you two can just have a private word, and then you can see if there's anything else that needs to be said on your behalf. We'll just pause and wait for you for a moment.
Hello, I'm just telling why I opened the shop early.
Can I just stop you for a moment? It may be that you want to have a word with your agent who's making representations on your behalf, and if you want to do that privately, that is not a problem at all. So do you just want to turn your camera off and your microphone off for a minute, and then you two can just have a quiet conversation between yourself and see if there's anything else you wish to say? And we'll just pause for a moment to give you that opportunity.
And a few.
Thank you. I can see the applicant hasn't got his camera on.
That I was going to say, as a
Thank you. So there's nothing further you wish to say.
As a news agency,
Thank you very much. I'm going now to ask all parties to leave this meeting. The members, the committee lawyer and the committee manager, we will go into private session whilst we make our decision. You will be notified of our decision within 5 working days. And thank you very much for attending today. Thank you.